So here we go. All right. We've got about 45 minutes left in our hour window, and we're talking about contract to close. So, how many of us have written down or have prior to any emails or anything that you saw today, have written down a step by step process of what it takes from contract? When you meet someone, you get that phone call that I got yesterday to actually closing on a home. How many of us has a step-by-step process of what that looks like? Feel free to raise your hand, share a copy. So no one has a copy of that, right? And it's critical because I'll share with you this. We've got a listing that went live today in San Jacinto. We're having showings starting this weekend. However, you know something that I forgot to get from the seller? What do you think I forgot to pick up from the seller? It's probably pretty important for showings.
The key? No.
Oh my goodness, there it is. Felipe's awake. Absolutely. I forgot to get the key. I literally don't have the key to the house, so I've got to go by and get a key. Little things like this, you know, not a huge deal breaker or anything like that, but it's just the little things that we can do better if we have a checklist right here of what we're supposed to do. So we're literally going to walk through this today. I want your feedback and input. If there's anything that we can add, I've asked Rebecca. I don't know if she's been able to join us or not. She's the one that helps us put these together as well. But I'm going to share my screen now, and we're going to look at the contract to close checklist. All right. Now, as you can see here on your screen, just adjust this back. We've got, let's just write it down here at the bottom. We've got a pre-listing checklist. Okay, pre-listing checklist. The first thing is the seller contact or prospecting referral. This is us going out and generating that business. Right? Check. That's the phone call that I got yesterday. Okay. Upon receiving that phone call, because we've done this and because many of you came to our trainings, you you saved everything that we sent you, right? You have what is called a pre-qualify the seller script. Yep. And so when Jonathan called me yesterday, I was able to easily print this out. Took me like, I don't know, 30 seconds while I had him on the phone. And I'm able to start writing down information. Of that information, I'm going to take his phone number, make sure I've got the right one that he wants to be contacted at, his email address, the home of the property that we're going to be talking about, set the appointment date there, and then start going down the list. Now, Shay and I were actually in the office yesterday. I was explaining this to her, and this is the simple questions. I explained it to her yesterday, and I was able to utilize it again yesterday evening after our meeting, that these are the questions that we're asking we need to know. And it's interesting because the first question that is on here that I ask is if what I say makes sense, you feel comfortable and confident that I am the agent, that I'm the right agent, sorry, to sell your property. Are you planning to hire me when we meet? First question, some agents may be intimidated by that question is, oh, what are they going to say? They may say they're going to interview 2 or 3 agents. The right answer for that is always going to be the same. Perfect, terrific, congratulations. Okay, but we need to know, am I competing with other agents? You know, Jonathan told me, you're my guy. He says, I'm doing some research online, but I've already checked you out. You're my guy. I really don't have anyone that I'm competing against. Are you considering selling the property on your own? Other question that can be asked that you want to talk about. Because is it going to be a for sale by owner here? You're going to have to work with that. These are the questions that you want to ask. And it goes through as you get to know a little bit more about them. So that's where we start. After that conversation, which shouldn't take you more than maybe 15, 20 minutes, right? You've collected name, phone number, emails we see there. You're going to, at that point, then email or drop off a pre-listing package. Now, I don't have one with me here in my home office. I do have a sample there in the office that is complete, right? And that's the cool binders that Felipe has got for us. And we're able to put everything in there. It's all bound. It's very professional. I've used these, and literally the competition doesn't exist when you drop this off. Okay, got a verbal listing of agreement Tuesday, I think it was. Yeah, Tuesday evening, because I was able to drop this off, and the content that was in there was so rich, so much value that the potential home seller is going to have found. He says, I'm getting the homework done that you told me to do, so that part is already done. When they're starting to work and get things done, and we've asked them, they've already agreed to work with us. Even though I don't have the listing contract in hand, they're working with us. And the things that are in there are already in your inboxes. Okay, what are those things that we see in there? Well, let's do this right here. I'm gonna blow up my screen. Make this zoom this in a little bit so you guys can see a little closer, a little easier there for everybody. All right, let's do that right there. All right. So we've got your 21-point marketing plan, your top 3 reasons homes don't sell, agent interview questionnaire, your reviews if you have any, who pays for what, the home sale prep, and showing guidelines. Your CMA can be in there, your net sheets can be in there, the life of an escrow can be in there, the property questionnaire and checklist can be, pre-listing checklist can be in there, moving tips, our service pledge, and even an agent review reminder. All of this, or a portion of this, can be in this document that you are going to literally hand over to your client and drop off at their door. We're not going to go over this in detail today because we've already covered this in previous trainings, but that's the content that's there. It's in your inbox. So go ahead and review that from when we had our listing training or listing workshop earlier this year. The next step that you want to do is you want to order a property profile. You need to make sure that the individual who called you owns that home. We're working with a client right now, and that client is wanting to sell a home that his mother owns. She's on title, not him. So while it's great that, maybe he's interceding for her or on her behalf, he can't sign any documents. And I need to know that when I'm drafting documentation for our listing contracts. All right. So you want to order that property profile from your title rep. That's your pre-listing checklist. That gets you started. Okay. That just gets the ball rolling. Now, once you've got the ball rolling, you're going to set a listing appointment. Okay. Now, at this listing appointment, you know what? For me, listing appointments used to be about 2 hours. Other agents in the office that I spoke to, top producers, say the same thing, 2 hours. How many of us really want to sit down with someone and talk about paperwork and so forth for 2 hours? And that's a really good movie, maybe, right? But it's kind of like talking to an attorney, right? Who wants to sit down and talk to an attorney for 2 hours? Let's just go ahead and raise your hand on that one. Nobody wants to do that, right? So when we come out to these clients' home, it's important for us to set the expectation that I'm going to need about 45 minutes, maybe max an hour, depending on the questions that you may have, to be able to go over everything that we've sent. The cool thing about it is most everything that they have is already in their hands. It's already there. They got your listing presentation, they've got the market analysis, they've got net sheets, they know how to prepare the home. All of that's already there. They should have reviewed that before you came out. So all they can do is ask questions about things that maybe they weren't necessarily clear on. Okay? So that's what we do. When you get to a home, there's a couple different ways that you can preview someone's home. You can do with or without the owner. Without the owner, seeing it through the buyer's eyes. We can't tell you do it this way or do it that way. Different agents have different preferences. However, you do want to preview the home, see what's there. All right. And then, of course, you'll briefly go over anything that you had with your listing presentation. You're going to spend the majority of your time on this guy right here, the CMA. You're going to be talking about price for this home, what it's going to be, looking at the comparables. That's going to be the thrust or the bulk, rather, of your appointment. Your listing appointment is really talking about price. As we've seen, as we've studied in the Success with Listings by Noli Williams, the book that we read last year with Jennifer Holquist. So that's what you're going to mainly be talking about while you're there. All right. How many properties, here's a question. How many properties should you use for a CMA? Give me a range. Talk to me.
6.
6. Becca says 5.
3 to 5.
Talk to me. What's that?
3 to 5.
3 to 5. Anyone else? I've got a manager, I've got a broker, and I've got a TC. Any of my agents have an idea of how many properties we should use in a market analysis?
21.
Century 21. Why not just give them 21, right?
Right?
It seems that my agents are quite shy to speak. Remember, guys, when you go to these listing appointments, this is not the first time to try to practice speaking. So let's go ahead and just try it now. Talk to me. All right, don't worry, I can't bite you through the screen.
Wait. We got Carol Preston on the call. Carol, how many should we put in the CMA? You might have to unshare your screen. We should look at peeps, David, so we can see. Carol's on the call. I want to hear what she has to say. There we go. Kathy's on the call. Kathy, come
on. Does anyone know we can't move on until we get an agent to tell us?
I'm guessing, I have no idea, but I'm guessing 2 or 3.
Okay.
I don't know.
5 to 7.
5 to 7. Okay. At least 6 were coming in from Perveen. She's typing in the chat. Okay. Felipe's muted. But 6, 7, the numbers are all great work. The original numbers coming in anywhere between that 4, I would say max is 8. Okay. It's typically the sweet spot that you want to be in for your market analysis. Why is that? Can someone tell me, why do you want to stick between 4 and 8? Why do you think that's a good number?
Don't overwhelm them.
There we go. Right?
Yeah, I find that people will if you give them too much information, then they become undecisive, right? So if I say, well, here's one at 400, here's one at 427, here's one at 467, and here's one at 515. They don't understand the concept of this one has a pool, this one was a tear down, this one was in a fire, and this one was a short sale. They just hear 515 and they say, well, talk to me about that, right?
Mm-hmm. Exactly. So great points that were put there. You want to keep it concise is the word that I think is best describes it. So you can give them good information about those particular homes that are most comparable to theirs. And that number is between 4 and 6 is where you're going to be. I've done some for 4. The most I've ever done, rather 4 to 8. The most I've ever done is 8. It becomes too much and they get lost in all the data. All right. So that's the CMA right there. We're going to throw our screen back up for you all so we can all see it there. And the net sheet. Now, the net sheet, what's the purpose of a net sheet? I mean, I know I've got some newer agents here, and so I have to kind of tailor this for all of us, but my seasoned agents, what's the purpose of a net sheet? Okay, I gotta.
We're gonna have to pick on somebody.
I gotta unshare my screen.
It's a
Jessica.
breakdown of what they're gonna make after the sale of the house.
Okay, Philip says it's the breakdown for what they're going to make at the end of the sale home. At the end of the day, the most important thing that someone's wanting to know is how much money am I putting in my pocket, right? And with going to a listing presentation with that is absolutely critical. Don't go without it. And the way we're going to get that is we're going to ask a simple question. What is the question that we need to ask to be able to provide a net sheet? What information do we need to know from the homeowner?
How much they owe on the mortgage?
Okay, Philip's got it. How much do they owe on their mortgage? All right, do they know? Because I can't provide that without. I only had one client ever who told me he didn't want to tell me that. Whatever, that's fine. All right, so we didn't provide. Other than that, everyone else has been very accommodating. They want to know, and they need those numbers together to be able to come to that realization. All right, so that's the reason that we have the net sheet. Now we're going to get into what is quite possibly Rebecca's favorite section of this training, is we get into the items that are needed for your listing contract. All right. Now, when you go to a listing presentation, you need to take with you what document? If you left everything at home, right? You just messed up. What one document should you absolutely take with you to every single listing presentation, no matter what?
Agency.
Oh, okay. Rebecca's she started on the right path there. She's a TC. Let's see, Jessica, I'm gonna pick on you again. I haven't heard from you, Jessica. What should you take on the listing presentation if you take nothing else with you? Kathy, help me out.
The listing document, the listing contract.
Thank you so much, Kathy. The listing contract, right? I've heard stories. I've actually made the mistake myself and lost a listing because I didn't have a physical copy. Everyone's the digital world. Everyone doesn't work in a digital space. Okay. You want to have that piece of paper with you so that you can sign it on every single one. And there's a lot that goes into that. So because there's a lot that goes into that, Rebecca, please look at our screen review if we've got everything on there that you need, of course, as a TC, but there's the agency disclosure, the PRBS, the WFA, the actual listing agreement, the RLA, the SA, and the CCPA. All right.
So we have now that spits out with the listing and purchase agreements is the fair housing.
Yep. And actually, this is the wrong screen, guys. I actually modified this.
We also need the PED.
Yeah, he has the PED and the other one in the purchase area, but for the listing, we should have the seller's PED. And if you guys choose RLA-CAA, that spits out the PED and the coronavirus addendum at the same time. You guys should be including that with the listing.
Right on. And I was actually looking down at the wrong part. See, listing contract, and you guys are right. Thanks for bringing me up to speed. I was like, I thought I modified this document. You are correct. The only one that's not on here, you said, of course, is the fair housing, correct?
Mm-hmm.
And what's the acronym for that?
Don't test me. FHDA,
There it is, folks.
fair housing disclosure. Yeah, I think.
Right. So when we're all done with training, this amended version we're going to send to you, which is why we keep a live version on the screen right now so that you're able to see it. But these are the items that you need to take with you. Okay. These are what is highlighted. The second highlight there after listing contract. What does it say there?
Standard disclosures.
Standard disclosures, meaning that there are transactions that are not quite so standard and there will be additional documentation needed. What would be a non-standard transaction? Talk to me, Ellen. A non-standard transaction.
If it's a trust listing, bankruptcy foreclosure, anything that's, yeah.
Foreclosure, yes, absolutely. Trust. Another one might be
Probate.
Short sale.
probate, short sale. Very good. These are different documentations that go with those, so that's why it says standard. Okay, so just remember that little piece right there. Now, Century 21, we've got some disclosures as well. And the ones that I've got on here is we've got a seller service pledge. Now, just correct me because I know we're updating this together. Making sure I have this. Are we still using our seller service pledge? So see, we got a shaking of a head. We're not actually using that. So we're going to take this off for you guys.
I have not seen that used in quite some time.
Absolutely. There we go. We made some adjustments. All right. And you're going to get this. Don't worry. But we do have the independently owned. We have to have that as a franchise. We have dual agency. We have to have that. Affiliated business disclosure. This is referring. Make sure you have the new one. Should have America's Escrow on there. You need that if you represent a listing and you're going to be using America's Escrow. Okay. There's also the environmental hazards booklet receipt. We need all of those. Did I miss any that we're using here currently in the office?
So just as a FYI, the environmental hazard booklet receipt is actually in your guys' zip forms. And it's in the car area under e-publications.
Mm-hmm.
So that
There
is
you go.
something you can pull from your zip forms.
That's under e-publications under zip forms. Okay. So make sure you're grabbing those. When you go to a listing, and there's a whole lot of acronyms on the screen there. There's a thick stack of paper, right, that you actually want to take with you. And you want to bring all that paper back with you when you come home, minus maybe you couldn't get it done while you were there, is going to quite possibly be these two documents right here that I've highlighted, the SPQ and the TDS. Although if possible, I'll try to get those filled out while I'm there as well. Now, you've collected all this documentation. want to make sure we actually make a checkbox here. We're going to make a new one here. Who gets copies of all this information? Just you?
Good question.
Talk to me, Nicole, Praveen, him and his family, Alma. Who gets a copy of everything that's here? Philip, talk to me. You're brand new. I know you know this.
What was the question?
The
Sorry.
seller,
The seller. Who answered seller?
Jimenez family.
A minute. There we go. So we have to say right here is leave copy of all with seller. There we go.
And I would venture to say that this is something that a lot of agents are missing out on right now. They're not doing is giving a copy to their seller. As crazy as that sounds, we forget to leave copies behind of what they're signing with the seller, and that's a big no-no.
It's a big no-no. It's absolutely required for us to do that.
Right.
Right. So make sure that whenever I go out to see a client, there's 2 copies. I've got one copy where my assistant has actually highlighted everywhere that they're supposed to sign and I'm supposed to sign, so we don't miss anything or initials. And then there's a copy for them to be left with them. Okay. You got to leave them a copy of everything that they're going to be signing. Okay. Everybody follow me there. So now we've added that to our checklist as well, so that you can, and this is the cool thing. If you make it like a little folder and you've got this checklist in it and you just start checking the boxes, guess what's not going to happen?
You're not going to forget.
Oh, snap. There it is. You're not going to forget because you got a checklist. Have we already covered quite a bit of things?
Can I just add something? When you guys are doing your listings, when you guys are being prepared and getting these documents up front, because listings are going so fast,
Great point.
it really benefits everybody in the transaction to be ready to have these things completed and filled out, because you only have so many days to get these items to the buyer. And I'm not telling you how many days.
How many days do you have to get these documents to the buyers if you represent a seller? Come on now, agents.
21.
Jessica, you're
Maximum
studying.
7.
7. Who said 7?
I did maximum 7 though. Today they
Maximum
want them quick.
is 7 what is typically standard. We have seen that chopped down. I've seen as little as 3, depending on what you can write in that contract. Because if you start chopping down how much time the buyer has to do something, the buyer could actually chop down your time as well. Okay, but 7 is the standard that's on the contract. So very good. Thank you so much, Rhonda. So there's a couple things that are included in the packet that we sent you all from our listing workshop, and that's going to be these 3 items right here. Okay, you see those items that we've highlighted? It's going to be the what makes our home special, our home's upgrades, and the pre-listing inspection worksheet. These items right here, they're actually going to be what they're going to complete for you in the pre-listing package. So when you go there, you pick it up and you just review everything that is there. This is the commitment, and it worked. I'm telling you it worked. I'm living proof that it worked. I literally dropped this on someone's doorstep. I just dropped it on the doorstep, prospecting for the seller, and texted him, let him know that it was there. We had a conversation. He liked what was there, and he said, the homework that you gave me, I'm getting that finished so we can get that part out of the way. Okay? He's committed to working with me, and he's got the homework there. So when I go to the house, we'll be able to review it, ready to rock and roll. So those items right there, you want to make sure that they're getting those done as well. And you're just reviewing it when you're there and you bring it back. That's going to help you. If you want more information on that, you've got to go back and watch the listing workshop. We reviewed those in more detail. Okay. Now, many of you may not be familiar with this guy right here. Is the property questionnaire from the MLS. How many of us are familiar with the property questionnaire sheet, the MLS? Anybody? I got a confused look on one face. I got another face that's not quite so certain, and then I've got a whole bunch of just names that I'm sure I don't even know if you're. Yes, I'm sure you're paying attention, right? You can go into the MLS, right, and you can actually download a copy of every little box that you're supposed to check. It's like 12 pages when you print it all off. All right, but we don't have time to go over all that today. All right, so you as an agent, I need you to take a little bit of notes for homework. Go into the MLS and you can do the, you can search there. I'll have to walk you through it. So if you call me, if you can't find it yourself, I can't do it right now. Time's not going to accommodate for us to do that.
We do have a
But
couple offers on the table.
You have all the little boxes you're going to check because this is what happens when you take a listing. Reason why you want to have this. You go to a listing and then you get to input it into the MLS and it comes back and it says, the dryer, is it gas or electric?
Submit something or.
And you have to, you need to know this and you're like, I don't know because I didn't look behind the dryer when I was there to see if it was gas or electric, right? Because who does that? Right? Most of us don't do that. But when you have a checklist, check it out now. Now I can say dryer, gas or electric. Home seller, is the dryer gas or electric? They're like, I don't even remember. So we go back there together and we look and we fill it out. Okay, we check the box. So there's many things about a home that we need to check. I actually did one recently and I thought the home had sprinklers in the front. So I just put sprinklers in the front. And then I put everything together and I sent it to my client and like, the home doesn't have any sprinklers in the front. And I was like, oh, I guess we'll take that out, right? If we had the checklist. Again, I'm coming to you as the trainer, but I'm real with you guys, right? I mean, I make mistakes too, all right? But this is why we have these trainings. Again, I'm going back to Felipe's tagline for the years, practice your trade or trade your practice, guys. We got to know these things to be the proficient agents that is needed in the industry today, all right? So there we go. Go on the MLS, print that off so you have it with you. You can check all the boxes that are pertinent that you need to know while you're there. Cool. Moving forward, the thing that I forgot, here it is right there. Okay, this guy right here. All right, don't ask me how I did it. Somehow I did it. I forgot to get a copy of the keys. Insane. It's a simple step, but you need it. Okay, so get a copy of the keys when you're there at the listing appointment. Okay, grab a copy. You're gonna need those. And then at that point, while you're there at the listing appointment, you're going to also do some other things. You're going to schedule some other items that are going to take place during this listing. You are a consultant, a real estate consultant. So it is your job to guide your client in this process. How often does someone sell a home? There we go, in a lifetime. How often does someone sell a home? How many years do you think it is?
5 to 7.
5 to 7 years. Okay, so when was the last time you did something? What was something that you did 5 years ago that you are proficient and can repeat or duplicate today? Besides riding a bike, right? Name something. You don't even know what it is. You can't even think. We can't think of anything, right? Like if I don't sell a home, every other day, I'm just not going to know the process. And guess what? As Jessica has already attested to, she was, outside the industry for a while. She went overseas, was living there, coming back. Things have changed. So because things have changed, we have to guide our clients through this process. The gentleman that called me yesterday,
to sell their house.
he actually said,
So
I need someone who's going to help me make the most informed decisions. Okay? The most informed decision. So that means that he needs a consultant. That's you and that's me with a checklist to make sure we don't forget anything. So I got schedule a stager consultation. If you don't have a stager, I would recommend that you get one. Someone who knows how to set up a home so that it showcases in its best light. Okay. How many of us have a degree in architecture? Okay, no one's got their hand raised. How many of us have any type of formal training in home staging? Right. So it would behoove us to have someone in our tool belt, right, who could guide our clients as to how you can make this space the most open as possible, the most inviting as possible, so that we can get top dollar for your home. Right? They can be expensive. I've seen them as much as $250 to come out for an hour or 90-minute consultation. However, the ones that I've worked with in the past, every time we sold our home in less than 30 days. And that was before the market was crazy, right? Even though the market is moving swiftly now, I was looking at some properties last night when I was doing a CMA, okay? And there's some homes that are actually not selling well, sitting on the market for longer than they should, selling under what they should be receiving on those homes because the pictures are terrible. The staging doesn't exist, right? And it's like, man, if you had invested just a little bit more time and energy, as opposed to going there and get it, for the lowest possible commission, sellers are leaving thousands of dollars on the table because they're working with unprofessionals. They're working with those who are they're working with non-professionals in the industry. So don't be that non-professional. Go ahead and get yourself a consultant who can come in and meet with your client. All right. There, now, I mentioned, I've heard this mentioned that this is something that maybe you can kind of skip, and don't worry about doing this, and maybe they'll ask for it, maybe they won't. Myself personally, I like to have a termite inspection conducted right before we go live, or sometime in between that space there, because we want to know if there's $150 worth of work to be done or $5,000 worth of work to be done, so that my clients are going in with both eyes open. Not they're getting this termite inspection because it costs $95. I've seen them actually as cheap as $75 for an inspection. Why would we not spend it? And most of these companies will let it be paid through escrow. So it doesn't even cost your client anything out of pocket. Make sense? There you go. Get a termite inspection done. Schedule your photographer when you're there. Photographers can get booked up and get busy as well. All right? So you don't want to be like, oh, we're live. Wait, where's the pictures? You know who just made that mistake? This guy right here. Scrambling around last Sunday trying to get this guy booked so we can get everything rocking around. Everybody's booked up. You know what? Where's your checklist? Practice your trade or what? Trade your practice. I've seen that.
Practice.
Trade your practice. Absolutely. All right. Schedule your home showings and your open houses. Now, this right here is a critical piece because right now showings are insane, right? Showings are crazy. People are blowing you up. They want to see these homes. They can't get in them fast enough. Your clients can't seem to get out of them fast enough. While you're there with your client, you want to set the expectation and see what's going to work. I am seeing a lot of homes right now. They're coming on the market like on a Thursday or a Friday. They're scheduling showings on the weekend. They're making decisions on offers on Monday, and they're moving forward. Time block it out for your clients so that they don't have to be inconvenienced all day long. So showings are going to be Saturdays and Sundays from 1 to 5. Your client knows to be gone those afternoons. Utilize showing time. Now, many of us haven't used showing time. I would tell you this, with the amount of phone calls you're going to get, the amount of text messages that people are going to want to see the property, utilize and learn how to operate showing time. It's quite easy. And then everyone can call in the showing time. You get a little text on your phone. You hit the confirm, hit the confirm, hit the confirm. You're not trying to make a calendar yourself of when these showings are going to take place. Okay, so make sure you're utilizing that right now, especially in this current market that we're in right now. Okay, last but not least, when you leave your client's home, I want you to leave them or send them a thank you card, or at the very least, a phone call. Right? Let them know that they're in great hands. You're taking care of them. All right. It goes a very, very long way when someone gets one of these guys right here. Personal note. See those right there? Those little personal notes? People love those. Absolutely love them. Got a client who hadn't reached out to me in a long time, sent them a personal note, texted me this morning. Hey, I got your note. Call me today. I'm available anytime. Personal notes, guys. Little things. That's going to be your listing appointment. You're going to get all that done in 45 minutes to an hour. You're not going to be there for 2 hours. Right? You're not going to do that. Don't do that to your clients. Don't do that to yourselves. All right? It can be quite a bit to handle there. All right? Now, when you leave the listing appointment and you come back to the office, there's some things that need to be done. Amber, what do you need to get started? What's the one form you need to get started?
Sky slope dash form.
There it is, folks. There it is right there on the top. To get started, this is what Amber needs. Amber, Melissa, they need this form right here. So make sure you have the current version of this form. Fill it out, send it to them, because that's what's going to put everything into SkySlope for you to start uploading information for your TC. That's what's going to get everything pushed to Century 21 so they can start building the website and everything that you need. So make sure that you fill out your dash form. Check the box. After you fill out the dash form, now this right here, I put if applicable. I taught a class on this with the Association of Realtors. The MLS, or rather, I don't know if R or NAR or whichever one you want to say, it doesn't necessarily require it, but the MLS has asked for it. The MLS coming soon form. Okay. If you have a coming soon, there is a form. You can find it on the MLS. Like I said, when I taught this training for SIG 2-3 weeks ago, they said that they required it. I don't know how they're regulating it, but literally, it's a simple form. You can get it filled out. If you're having a coming soon, I recommend, very easy to do. Signature at the bottom. All it is for your seller. You're already filling out a ton of paperwork anyway. I would recommend you check all your boxes. That's my recommendation. I'll leave it up to you, discretion, how you want to fight with the MLS. All right. So make a note of that right there. Another thing you want to do is schedule your sign installation. Roger and his team do a great work getting our signs there. Make sure you schedule that so that it's on time. You can't say, oh, I didn't put the sign in the yard. Because there's so much to do, right? Like we haven't brought, oh man. Text Roger Boyts, I think that's his email. If you need his email, just text myself or just text myself. I'll get you his email if you don't have Roger in your contacts. So you can anytime, boom, sign guy. He gets the sign installed. Of course, who pays for that sign? Felipe, who pays for the sign for the agents to put in the front yard?
The company.
We do.
Oh, there it is. Century 21 pays for that sign, guys. Some of the benefits of working with Century 21 Preferred. All right. Then you're going to input everything into the MLS. All right. That's going to be our next step, but you already have that form, everything filled out. That takes some time. Let me just preface this right here. All right. Your description, agents. What's the purpose of the description on the MLS? Someone talk to me. I need someone who hasn't spoke up yet. Man, Perveen, you've texted, but can you tell me what's the purpose of the description in the MLS? There's no wrong answer, but okay, maybe Marianne is there. Marianne, I know she's an experienced agent. Maybe she could tell me what's the purpose of the description in the MLS. Anybody know? Mercy, I got crickets here.
To make the buyers want to come and see it.
Make the buyers want to come and see it. Thank you so much, Rhonda. So, yes, Jessica.
Maybe to avoid questions, like just if you have a good description, then you can avoid a lot of like those phone calls or, just to give a better description of the property will help the seller agent to answer all those questions for his buyer as well.
Great point. Thank you so much for bringing that up. All of what you're saying is perfectly is what I was thinking as well. Is if I could condense it, it's to showcase those items that you can't see in pictures. Because what Jessica was saying, they're going to ask the AC. Is that new or how long has that been here? Did they have a recent roof on there? Are the windows new or original? A single pane, double pane? You put all that in the description because you don't necessarily see that in the pictures. You put it in the description. The solar, is it released or paid for? I see it in pictures, but what do I know about it? That's what facilitates there. So input into the MLS, with mercy. Look at two screens at the same time. There it is. All right. Not 3 lines, guys. I want you to get detailed here, all right? And if you're having some struggles, guess what? They actually have companies out there that will write a description for you. Google them. All righty. Next thing you're going to do is we're going to move along as time is running out. I've talked a little bit slower, so hopefully you've been able to digest this a little bit. Typically, I just murder through these things like you wouldn't believe. It's kind of insane. But I wanted to take my time so that everyone could kind of digest what we're talking about here. You want to order your NHD. You want to set up Golden Ruler in the 21 Online. If you don't know how to do that, I encourage you to just Google it. You go to 21 Online, go to the reporting hub. And under the reporting hub, go to at the bottom left-hand side, it is the Golden Ruler. You can set up your Golden Ruler there, all right? Installing the lockbox is kind of an important thing to do with that key. So you want to make sure that you tell yourself to do that. Don't forget it. And then, of course, right here, input the seller into your CRM. You need to keep track of these people. So as you put all this together, make sure that they're in your CRM if you haven't already put them there. And then what's the last step that we're doing, Rebecca? There it is.
Hire a TC.
Agents. I've heard it time and time again. I don't want to pay 400, 450, whatever the cost is for a TC. I can do that myself. It's not that much work. You lose as an agent when you try to do all your paperwork because you're taking away from time when you should be doing what's the number one thing that agents should be doing. Somebody talk to me. Number one thing agents do when they start their day.
Make phone calls, prospect.
Oh, there it
More
is.
business.
There it is. There it is. Prospecting. Very good. Don't do paperwork. That's not your job. All right. That's what we have TCs for, and they do a great job of it. All right. We're going to move through as you're on the market now. Mercy. Mercy. You know what? I'm not going to rush this. I'm not going to rush this for you guys. You know what? We're going to come back.
Yeah, I agree.
I'm taking my time on this because it is important for you as agents to know these steps. And if I rush through this, it's not going to do it justice. It's not going to do you justice as an agent. I've shared quite a bit in the last 40 minutes now. I hope that you all were taking notes. We're going to come back next week and we're going to finish this. All right. We're going to go through and answer any questions that you may have as you get it on the market and what's taking place in our market today. So from what we've covered so far, are there any questions? I know there's questions. Everyone's always shy to ask them until afterwards. Then I get the email. So go ahead and shoot them out.
I want to go back up to the top area where you had the disclosure.
Right here.
SPQ, yeah. I want to just add that when you guys are doing your listing, and I'm not an agent, so you guys have to tell me, but the Avid, I don't know why you guys don't like doing your Avid. I don't understand it. I don't know why it takes you guys forever to turn it in, but it is part of the seller disclosures that we're supposed to be giving to the buyer. We require it as an office. You guys should be, jotting down some notes. You don't like your handwriting, take your Avid, take your notes, and then come back and type it out. But that is one of the hardest things to get from my agents, and not just our agents, all agents.
Yes, so tough. Great point. Thank you for requesting that, Rebecca. There's something here, and I've actually forgotten it, and I actually made a note that we need to put it on here because I don't see where I added it in here. I didn't. Before we go live, we're inputting this into the MLS. There's something out there that is highly beneficial to your sellers in protecting them when their home is for sale. What is that?
Home warranty?
Home warranty. There it is. Thank you so much. So what I'm going to put on here, this is why we're working together, team, is I want to make sure that this has got everything in it. We want to order a seller's home. We'll call it a protection plan. But how much does that cost? Anybody know how much that costs?
About
Dollar
650.
Okay, so we're talking about the sellers while it's listed. Protecting the water heater from going out, protecting the AC from breaking on them and then having to pay out of pocket themselves while they're listed. Anybody know how much that costs?
Isn't it like $1 something a day?
Something
Or
for a day until it gets closed, yeah.
It's like $1 a day, depending on who you go with. I've seen some flat rates for like $35 for the whole listing. I have used this. My clients absolutely were just ecstatic when I literally had ACs and water heaters go out while we're listed. We're talking anywhere from $500 to $5,000 that we've saved our clients by spending. I pay for this myself, $35.
Mm-hmm.
Your clients will love you. They will rave about you. Oh my God, that is great. They pay a $60 or $75 trade call fee. They pay that when they come fix it. But critical piece that should be in your marketing plan as well to help letting them know how you're protecting them while their property is for sale.
that
Okay.
should definitely be a question that's asked along with, do you have solar? Do you have a home warranty? I literally have a file right now where the seller purchased their home a year ago and they are coming up to the end of their home warranty and they have to replace a water heater. and they are going to call their home warranty.
Yeah.
And it'll be covered.
Yep.
So
That's the way we do it as industry professionals. That wraps up our time for today. It's 11:59. I know you found this beneficial. I know this is great stuff because I've actually learned a little bit since I've been here just teaching it, some things that we didn't have in there that are critical for us to be able to provide the absolute best service. As Felipe mentioned earlier, as we started, people are going to get tired. They're going to get burned out. They're going to go away. It's going to open the floodgates for you as industry professionals to just absolutely take over this market. And so we're hoping that you're finding these tools useful so that you can go out there and be the most equipped agents in the industry. And as Felipe says, what?
Practice your trade.
Or
You're gonna be trading your practice.
Trade your practice.
trade your practice. That does it for today. Team C21 Preferred. Hope you guys have a great rest of your week. We will follow this up next week for this conclusion so that everybody's ready to rock and roll. All right?
Great job, Adam.